meeting, please invite me. I can add comments, or if you have a final doc, I can take a look and add few additional comments to this.
Okay, so let me make a note to invite you. To the next call if we have one. And thanks for that. And great contribution by John. Is there anyone else who wanted to talk about this particular piece? No?
Yes, Christina, we are still reviewing it, so we will provide, it's Marian from NVIDIA, we will provide more feedback next week because it's a lot of new items to review.
Yeah.
I just this morning create a new GitHub issue. Maybe if it's already documented, great, but I'd appreciate a pointer. But one of the questions for Microsoft asked of Microsoft was, is there some? It'd be good if there were maximum timeout parameters for each of the, SYN phase, establish phase, and fin to close phase that could be documented as dash requirements.
Okay.
And if there's typical values, that might be nice to know for education, but maximum values are of interest.
So is this TCP closing or aging the connections, or just like an aging timer, or?
I mean, part of the fin to closing time we talked about was there needs to be a backup. If you never see the ACK for the fin, you need to delete the state eventually. So there's a dash mandates that I think that there be a configurable timeout per ENI.
Yeah, because up here,
knowing what the, let's say, maximum possible value dash requires for that configuration value, and maybe as an example, what they expect the typical value might be a useful thing to know.
Right, because here, the third one from the bottom, we talked about flexibility for connection close timeout to be configurable per ENI to X number of seconds. Is that similar to what you're talking about?
What is a maximum value of X would be useful to know.
Yeah. So I have that one listed as a work item in the smaller group that talked about behavioral model. So we are tracking that.
Great.
Got it.
Thanks.
Yeah. I'm just going to put C above. And anything from you, John, since you were the contributor? Appreciate it.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. That was awesome. Thank you. Something else, I know that for this right here, the Intel Sci Thrift PTF and the extensions. So I know that design discussions have begun over at Intel, and I think the work is going to be starting pretty soon here. And if Reshma wants to comment, that would be great. And if not, just everyone know that there's starting work over there.
Right, Christina, as you mentioned, the design is all, the discussions have begun, and all the things that need to be worked upon have been identified, and the work will be starting pretty soon. So we will have a review, we can have a review here first, and then go to the Sonic Tuesday, community review as well. So yeah, we can present here first, discuss the design, and then present it in the larger community.
Okay, sounds good. And by work starting, I think what they mean is that the actual coding work will be starting soon.
Right.
So, any questions or chit chat on that particular topic?
I do have a brief announcement I could make that would just take maybe 30 seconds or so.
Please do.
So this is not Intel specific. I host a P4, architecture working group where we've been discussing the portable NIC architecture. And so related, one question that's come up in the past about NVIDIA's proposed P4 code is that it uses some non-standard extensions for the connection state machine. And so if anybody's interested in those extensions and their behavior and discussion of, motivation of why they're created and, brainstorming about whether or not they'll be added to P4 in the future or not. I'm outing Alan Lowe here, who's volunteered to give a talk next Monday on this, and I will put in chat the pointer to how to join that meeting if it's open to the public, if anybody's interested in that topic.
Great, great.
So that may or may not turn into what's in the reference model, but at least if you're interested in that, just want to let people know.
That's a great resource. Thank you. And I've been taking your P4 notification and forwarding it to people I think might be interested. So thanks for letting me know that it's public. So I'll put the pointer in the meeting notes too, and then everyone will have it as well. Let me move. And so we also put together a smaller group to work on the behavior model work items and P4. And so we have that going. I had a couple of volunteers, and if there's anyone else interested, just hit me up and I can forward the meeting invite or talk about it on a call or something like that. So let me know. I think we're going to meet tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Andy, it looks like you went on. Did you mean to go on mute?
Oh, sorry, I did mean to go on mute. Sorry, I'm just typing up the details of that meeting so you can put in your notes.
Okay.
Sorry, did
great.
you ask me a question? I missed it.
No, we're good. So then, if anyone wants to more information about that, just let me know. And so I'm going to stop sharing this particular screen and share a different one. Michael and I'd like your guys' opinion. Michael and I were working on a way to track work. And so let me share a different screen. And Michael Miele and I were playing with this idea. It's inside of GitHub. And what it is, for a certain project, for example, P4 behavioral model, specifically Marian, we had that slide here that shows the work items that we need to work on. We transformed that into a GitHub trackable kind of work item list here for this particular project. And so, we have UDP support, IPv6, everything that we had talked about that needs to be done. And then you can assign in GitHub, have a status and priority and who's working on it actually. And so this is something we're playing with. And I was curious about your community views around how to, is this a good way to track the work so everyone can see it? Or would you prefer to work off of PowerPoint? I prefer this, but.
No, this is a better way to do it. Definitely.
You think so?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, if I may add, Christina. Hello, everyone. The advantage of this is obviously it's in GitHub, and these listed items, are basically issues, and each issue is right now are just not linked to anything, but this issue can be the actual issues, and each issue is obviously also linked to PR or PRs. So everything is linked together, and GitHub has the ability to, connect status all together. So this will give us a better visibility and better coordination of the work done instead of having disconnected things. So, and besides following the status, that is important, obviously, but it's also the ability to communicate among us and to see where we are, what we are doing, and who is responsible for, so we can connect to particular person or persons that are working on the specific item. Should work well, I think, and we can improve, obviously, based on your feedback and the way that things will go.
Right. So it's an idea, and what I was thinking, for example, fragment handling, now that we have a little more information about it, we would go into this project work item and we could link it to for example, the issues and the PRs that Andy has filed, and then they're all kind of together in one bucket, rather than using labels and trying to do a search with a label. So just an idea. Curious what anyone else thinks. So we can try it. Okay. And then today we were supposed to, let's see, I'm still working on obtaining I know we're working on needing the E&I sizing and scale, I think James will come next week maybe and discuss from SDN Engineering to talk about that. And then we still have the northbound interface that I believe it's being translated into Sonic Yang, and from there we'll be able to show it. So that's the work that's happening there. And then Michael and I also made an update to the transforms document. I'll show it to you here. There we go. Documentation. So with some feedback from different people, we've changed this figure here and this figure. If you scroll down, talking about how to determine the direction of the traffic, and what we were missing, it looked like what we were missing was we had, this information here, but, with packet direction, it wasn't really explained, how we were doing the lookup, and then how the ENI was selected, and then that double decap item that you guys saw inside the P4 code. We tried to kind of explain it a little more here, but so we basically over on this left-hand side, if this is the SDN appliance, and these are the dash optimized VMs, and over here is just external. So I wrote remote endpoints, it could be express route or whatever. We tried to make this diagram a little bit more readable, and we put a note here that the VNI tends to be static on this side because the VXLAN here is using the identifier. Usually it stays the same. And there is a reserved range that it's pulling from on this side. And if I'm going to look those up and see if I can list those here. And then over on this side, the VNI would be different depending on the inbound connection. So we updated this document here. And I don't know if the community sees all these updates or if I'm going over something you've already seen.
I see the updates, but the reminder is good.
Okay, good. Awesome. And then so that's let's see. Oh, I hear an echo. Am I echoing?
Not anymore.
Okay.
Briefly,
right,
but it's
great.
not.
Okay, great. So then did we want to, I know that HA is a little bit further out there, but did we want to talk about Bud's HA proposal, or should we more be focused on the VNet to VNet scenario and just get that out the door? Let me see who's all here.
What are the open items on VNet to VNet?
In the behavioral model?
Well, in the behavioral model, we know most of them. I thought maybe there is something else that is up for discussion. We know what we need to do. I'm thinking about what we still have to agree on.
I haven't heard anything new other than the things we've talked about, and then the request from. I
don't know, it's here again.
From Andy about the. What's that?
Sorry, that was me with the echo. This is Bud.
That's okay. Oh, okay, that's okay, Bud. All right. So we do have the request from Andy to see if we can come up with that time value, but other than that, that's all I know about. So
Christina, I have a sort of a general question about the current P4 pipeline code. Like we know that there's still capabilities and features to be added to it. I was wondering, in terms of the existing data structures that are laid out in that code, like how confident are we that code and those data structures are stable? Like this, what's in the P4 pipeline code right now, the tables that are defined, that they are really, we're confident that that is the correct layout.
Marian, did we base that on any kind of standard design or a typical P4
Yeah,
model
and
scenario?
actually right now, what we're doing, we are comparing this to the northbound API to see if there are any gaps in misunderstanding of the behavior. So we found some minor differences that are still discussed, but the main flows like routing, all of the mappings, validations seem to be pretty much what was expected from the northbound.
Hey, Marian, this is Jay. I had a few questions. I sent you an email. Is there a PR open where I can put my questions on the behavioral model and the APIs?
So APIs are in the side dash branch.
Yeah, let me share
No,
my screen here.
in the workflow which you have described in the PR.
I'll show you here.
Yeah, I was sharing
I'll
here.
show you. So if you go to the main section here, there's a serious pipeline, and then there's Psi. And so here.
Yeah,
Is
actually, they will be substituted with the tool chain that auto-generates those APIs. And there is a first, let's say, first official version of the Psi API in the Psi repository branch.
Right,
right.
Yeah. But the tool chain, I had questions, right? Because you made the claim that in the last meeting, the auto-generated APIs will have the implementation as well. And there's some
but that's for the simulator only.
Yeah. So that, so that I think is not coming out clearly. I was talking to Guhan as well, and there is some gap there. I just want to make sure that at least on the dashboard or somewhere it's clearly understood. I just want to add comments so that if anybody looks at it, I don't know where the right place is.
Once again, comments to what? To the tool chain, to Psi API?
Correct. Correct. Yes.
So we have a pull request for the tool chain.
We do. Let me show you here. Go ahead. Keep going, Marian, while I'm authenticating.
It's in the dash repository. Yeah, pull request number, right. Pull request number 32.
I see that. Okay. So I'll add my comments here, and they're mainly just to make sure that we are all on the same page.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Thanks.
Does that answer your question, Bud?
Yeah, it definitely helps. So along the same topic or similar topic, last week I had a couple questions on some of the data structures, and I filed an issue. I don't know if it's worth taking up time in this meeting to talk about it, but
is it the application table in P4 pipeline code?
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, there's a table in the P4 pipeline code called the
table appliance.
Table appliance, yeah. And I wasn't clear like where the index into this table comes from, or if it's really a table in a traditional sense of multiple entries.
Oh, I see your question. No, it is actually the global attributes of the appliance. So it is expected pretty much to have like one catch-all entry with the global attributes. And it is in reality, if you look at the Psi API, it is mapped to underlay Psi attributes. And this mapping will be provided as part of the Sonic design. So based on this table, no new API is generated. It will be translated into the existing Psi attributes. Okay. So it's like there is the MAC address of the device, IP address of the device. It's not really any lookup or anything related to SDN processing.
Okay. And that neighbor MAC attribute in the table, that's a real thing too?
Yeah, that's the Tor switches MAC connected to that appliance.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Is it okay if I just write this down here? Just to capture it, Marian?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
All right, great, thanks.
Yeah. Is it okay? Should I just keep this open, Bud, or I can close it later? Do you have a preference, Bud?
You can just close it now.
Oh, okay. All right. Great. Awesome. Thanks, Marian. Okay. And so we have about 12 pull requests. Couple of them are mine, and HA. I wonder if we're quite to the point of doing HA yet with you guys. Is this something we want to talk about today, or I know we were talking about how to standardize on how we're going to sync the flows between the ASICs and things like that, or is that for a different, smaller discussion? Well, we can talk about it another time.
Yeah, I think
so Christina, I think a good idea would be to again create a smaller working group for HA.
Yeah.
Everyone interested can subscribe.
Correct.
Okay. All right. I can send out a note or an email asking who's interested. No problem. I'll make a note to do that. Great. My group. Okay, great. And let's see. Video. So that's about all I had for this week, unless you guys have something you want to talk about. I'm going to turn off my sharing here.
I have a small update on the site P4 runtime implementation. So we are now at the stage of basically changing the environment. Now it needs to include the P4 runtime library and a different version of the simulator that has this API included. So that's what we're doing right now, and seems to be going according to the plan by the end of this month.
Cool. Any questions for Marian on that?
Christina, so can we capture this work then in that GitHub list of items? Correct? Is that correct? Is that's where okay, perfect.
Marian, would
so
it be
other people
okay?
will know.
Yeah, Marian, would it be okay with you if we try to track this in the project format I was showing earlier, the update?
Yeah, maybe one question about that work. Can I find a link to this tracker?
This was just something Michael and I were doing in a private repo to present to you guys and see if you even liked it. If you do like it, then we can move it to the main repo. I just kind of wanted to get agreement first to try it.
Yes, sure.
Okay, great. So if Michael and I move it over to the main repo, then probably by the end of today or early tomorrow, we could have it over there and give you a link. Okay, great. Well, that's all I had for today, guys. Unless you want to talk about the testing framework that we went over last week. We are going to have to come up though with some sort of test to make sure connection tracking the connection close is happening in a graceful way that we want it to. So at some point we're going to need to test for that in the test work group. So just FYI.
That will allow us to see if the model works, right? Because this will be a more correct.
Right. So I've engaged Poria and I've engaged Keysight to see if that's something we can work on. And so our internal lab, we call it the Star Lab, that's been brought back online. So we'll be able to get it back into there soon. And that's about all the updates I have this week.
One quick question. I'm just following this from the last 2 weeks. So are we using P416 or P414 language for this? Which standard we are following?
16.
Okay.
And if you look at the serious pipeline code, you might notice some things that aren't standard P416, and that's one of the things that'll be talked about at a meeting I linked to next Monday in the chat.
Thanks, Andy. So I'll take a look at it. When another question I have is, when you're talking about connection tracking, are you talking about the entire thing about connection tracking when you want to implement kind of all the exception handling as well as the tracking piece of it? When you want to track just the sequence number, ACK window size, sync the cookie data for iFlow or TCP window options. So is there any detailed requirement on the connection tracking, just not at a high level? Do you have any detailed requirement on connection tracking, as well as do you have any exception handling like TCP SYN retransmit or window size 0 or a full retransmit kind of thing? Right? Are those exception also as part of connection tracking?
I think it's a lighter version than that. Like, no sequence number tracking is needed, except perhaps if you want to do an aggressive close at the end to match up a fin.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to understand. So I'll be working with Venkat on this. So I just wanted to understand, is there any detailed requirements already mapped out, or is there any request? When I say I see just one line of connection tracking, it could be simple connection tracking, or we can go a detailed version of it, right? I just want to make sure that we have the requirement finalized so that we can plan and execute on that.
Marian, did we have more requirements other than these that we had talked about?
So this is all described actually in the email thread for the smaller behavioral models thing. So Christina, if you can maybe
forward that along.
Yeah.
Okay, and I have it. Yeah. So this one, Marian. John, are you okay if I forward this along?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, all right. And do I have your email address?
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, tomorrow's meeting should have Venkat forward. I'll type them my email address in the chat.
Yeah, please do, and then I'll forward this along. And it's a little bit large, but it's because we had to talk about it 4 or 5 different times. But kind of what we were concerned with and where we landed. That
will be really helpful.
Okay,
yeah, I'll try to join the tomorrow's meeting. But I'll be delayed. I'm pre-booked for that time, so I'll join the second slot.
Okay, all right.
I'll sync up with Venkat on.
Maybe you guys can ignore it if you want to, but I can also send the meeting invite out to the larger Sonic Dash group. And if you can join, great. If you can't, then we'll just have a smaller group.
Yeah. Hopefully that will get recorded, right? That meeting will get recorded.
Sure. We can record
so
it.
Because I won't be able to join the first stuff, so I just want to make sure that if I could, I'll try to make it up, but if not, at least I want to listen to the recording.
Okay, sounds good. Any other questions for today? Nope. Then I can give time back. And sometimes I'm not exactly sure some of the members where you're from. So if you log into the call, maybe if there's a spot I know where most everybody's from. I'm just missing, who am I missing? I think it was Sandeep. I just get a note that says Sandeep joined, but I don't know who that is. Is there Sandeep on the call? Nope, not today. Okay, I'll have to figure it out offline. Well, thanks for your time, everyone. I'll give you time back unless there's something else you want to talk about. 3, 2, 1.
Oh.
Huh? Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. And please reach out to me any questions or concerns. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.